we are so filled with poisonous toxins that we wouldn't pass the USDA inspection. I'm like, ouch, we would not pass the USDA inspection. And that's because we are living in a time where we are exposed to dangerous toxins. And many diseases are linked to these toxins. I gave you the definition of toxin as well so that we can understand what toxicity is. It's the quality of being toxic or even poisonous. It's being very harmful or unpleasant. So we know that we need to do a deep cleanse right down to the cellular level to reclaim our health. And what are some of the things that makes us toxic? The chemicals that's being used, we are exposed daily. You know, we live in places where there are toxins in our water, in the air, and we have outdoor pollution as well as indoor pollution. So I'm just giving you a recap of some of the things that I went over in part one, and to let you know that a lot of these things, they're causing cancers among God's people. And we talk about also the indoor pollution that we find in the homes and the offices and the restaurants and the factories, you name it, just about everywhere. Because you see, in many places, we're using things like printers and computers and so on and so forth. And we don't realize that toxins are being given off in these places. They're recirculated through the air. Also, a lot of us, we love an air conditioning, and because of the moisture, it's actually a breeding ground for germs and bacteria and other toxins. We talk about the sick building syndrome, new buildings, how it can make you sick as well because of the materials used to actually put that building together. And because of the fact now we do insulation and we want to make sure that everything is tightly bounded, you know, all the toxins are being trapped on the inside and can make us sick. The types of material, the outgassing, the building material, they're also emitting toxins, the carpets, the furnitures, couches, curtains, you name it. They are all emitting toxins, and we can develop things like headaches and itchy eyes and sore throat and dizziness and nausea, just to name a few. So this is just to tell us that we're living in an age where just about everywhere there are toxins, you know, pesticides being used in so many things, and we can find them in disposable diapers, shampoos, air fresheners, mattresses, and so on and so forth. So just about everything that we use and just about everywhere that we go, we are exposed, and these things are causing many diseases: depression, anxiety, memory loss, mental illness, Parkinson's, just to name a few. Secondhand smoke is another one that's very bad, very dangerous. It's more dangerous to the person inhaling the secondhand smoke than to the smoker, him or herself. The pesticides used on our fruits, our vegetables, the waxes and so on that's placed on them, and how unhealthy these things are. So without further ado, we are going to jump into part two. There are toxins in our water as well, the animals and how they're fed. The meat is unhealthy because we are exposed, we are exposed, we are exposed. So we are going to jump into part two, where we are going to look at what we can actually do to help us when we are exposed to these toxins. What are some of the things that we can do to detoxify our bodies? And I will start with a disclaimer. This information is intended for educational purposes only and is not meant to substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So please remember that anything that you're hearing here is for educational purposes only. So how can we detox? We are going to talk about whole body detox and whole body cleanse. So what is a whole body detox? A whole body detox removes toxins, boosts energy, improves digestion, enhances mental clarity, and may reduce inflammation. The detox will help to balance the gut bacteria, help the liver in eliminating these toxins from the body, give other organs a rest, and help our bodies to refuel with lots of healthy nutrients. So we know that based on what we feed our bodies, we can detox our bodies and, of course, reclaim a healthy body. So one of the things that we need is good hydration. And we need foods that are rich in fibers. We need to also take digestive walks, eat enzyme-rich foods, and much more is highly recommended in addition to the use of the following formulas. So there are some formulas that I'm going to speak on. Formulas will vary based on a person's situation. And this is something that I want us as individuals to understand. A formula is not a one shoe size fits all. It is normally based on a person's situation. So that means that there can be modification when it comes to formulas. Because if a person have other medications that they're taking, that may change the dynamics of what you give that person. If the person has other illnesses, that may change the dynamics of the formula given. Also, if a person has not done any cleansing or detoxing for a year, it may change the formula and the type of herbs used. So for example, a person who has not taken a laxative in years, such a person may have what we call mucoid plaque buildup. Now, many of you may look up this and you may see that scientists don't believe in the mucoid plaque buildup, and they may tell you that there is not such a thing. But of course, there is a thick, rubbery, mucus-like substance that builds up in the intestines. And when that happens, a person needs a little less than the regular formula, right? When that happens, we need to remove that rubbery mucus-like substance that builds up in the intestines with detoxification and colon cleanses. So it's important that we know what a person's situation is, assess that person's situation, know what's causing the issue, and then we will decide on the formula to use based on one's situation. Now, why does this mucoid plaque occur? This occurs from poor diet, poor elimination, and toxin exposure. So you have toxins building up in the person's body. The person is on a poor diet, probably not getting enough fiber, enough water, So things are backed up. Everything is not being eliminated. And this buildup occurs over the years. But most scientists dispute this fact. So, depending on the severity of the constipation, one of the things that I like to do is to make this particular formula into a capsule, because most persons would complain about the bitterness. So I would prefer to make it into capsule form and have a person take 3 to 4 capsules, depending on weight, depending on age, and other underlying factors. So like I said before, there is no one shoe size that fits all. So I'm not telling you to go and make the formula and then just go and take 3 to 4 capsules. And if you notice, we use things like Cascara Sagrada powder, we use Senna powder, and Prodigiosa. Now, Prodigiosa is not just an herb. It is very strong and it has medicinal properties. This is only used for persons who have not used a laxative in years. You're going to see here cayenne pepper, the cayenne powder. This is not the cayenne that persons go cooking with. I am talking about 90,000 international heat unit or more. And then we have 1/8 teaspoon ginger powder. Now, this can lower blood sugar and cannot be used by those on diabetes medication and cannot be used before surgery because of the fact that it thins the blood. So please note all of the cautions and note why we don't just hear formulas and jump and go and do things ourselves. So instead of doing another formula 15 minutes after the one that I just showed, one of the things that I do to just make it wholesome, the same formula, I add 3 tablespoons of Cypress bark powder or 3 tablespoons of psyllium husk and seed powder. Why? Because we want to ensure that the person is getting enough fiber and to allow the walls of the colon to be properly cleansed. So this will help to sweep the colon clean, especially the psyllium husk seed powder. So instead of just, giving another complete formula to do 15 minutes after, I put it in one and give the person a whole body detox and a whole body cleanse. So let's learn a little about the herbs that I mentioned. Cascara Sagrada will work on the nerves of the colon. It helps with the peristalsis movement. Before we go to the bathroom, there is some movement that happens in the colon, that peristalsis movement, and then you get that urge to go. That is because that Cascara Sagrada will work on the nerves of the colon and will cause that peristalsis movement to occur. Now, the senna will promote bowel movement. It is actually used for bowel cleansing. And the ginger now, used in conjunction with the senna, will prevent the senna from griping the stomach. Many of us that grew up in the Caribbean, many of us has experienced this, the back to school formulas that our parents used to give us, and they give us the senna for cleansing. But back then, many of them did not add a little ginger to it. So we had to sit down with our stomachs griping until we get that movement. Now, they did the best with what they know, and we praise God for them, right? So the ginger would prevent the senna from griping the stomach. And the ginger is anti-inflammatory. It helps to aid digestion and improves blood circulation. Prodigiosa, on the other hand, promotes liver function. It also cleans the pancreas. It improves bile synthesis, supports kidney function, and regulates blood sugar, etc. So we can see that these herbs, when put together in the correct formula and the right measurement, can pack a good punch in terms of doing our detoxing and cleansing. So here is another formula. If a person suffers from constipation, this is the suggested formula used. 1 whole ripe organic papaya blended with the seeds, 5 to 10 cloves of garlic, and 1 cup of lemon juice, freshly squeezed. Blend everything with a powerful blender like a Vitamix, and you can give that person 1 cup every 30 minutes to that constipated patient. Now, that's a person that's having chronic constipation. And I can tell you this, I don't even have to blend a whole ripe papaya. All I have to do is to eat a slice of it, and I know I'll be going to the bathroom, right? And many of us, we know that the papaya is so good. The seeds would help to get rid of parasites. So that's why when I eat the fruit, I do not throw away my seeds, and I'm going to tell you what I do with my seeds. I will eat 10 seeds, 10 to 12 seeds in a day because it helps to eliminate parasites. Then the others, I dehydrate them and then I ground them, and I would use that in my food as a seasoning. Why? Because it gives that little kick, that little spiciness that we're looking for, that little flavor in our foods. Because I am one of those, I do not use black pepper because it damages the epithelial lining and it's not very good for the stomach, right? So again, we have to know how to do things. We don't use it by itself and just put it on our foods, but we can use it with other things and get medicinal properties. So, but I myself, I really cannot tolerate it, so I don't use it, and we should not be using it as an everyday use in our foods. So I use the papaya seeds instead. So with this formula, like I said, this is for someone who is chronically constipated. So after giving them that, with the cloves of garlic and the papaya and so on, 15 minutes after giving them that, that person should follow up with 2 parts of slippery elm bark powder, 2 parts of psyllium husk seed powder, 1 part of activated charcoal, half a part of food-grade bentonite clay powder, half a part of fennel seeds powder, 1/4 part of marshmallow root powder, and 1/4 part of chilisite powder. Now, what do I mean by parts? 1 part can be equal to 1 tablespoon of powdered herb. And when we finish putting this together, so 2 parts would actually be 2 tablespoons. So when we finish putting this together, we would put 1 or 2 tablespoons of that mixture in 8 ounces of water, shake it very well, then drink it down 15 minutes after you have taken the previous laxative that I spoke about with the papaya and seeds and the garlic. Now, like I said before, This would not be a formula for everyone. There are those individuals who may not be able to use that amount of garlic. Like I said, an assessment must be done, consultation must be done, and the person's situation assessed, then to decide how to put together a formula based on that person's situation. So here are the caution. Please note that the activated charcoal and the food grade bentonite clay, they can stop the laxative effect. So in some cases, you may need to reduce the amount depending on the situation. Now, it is expected that you eat a healthy plant-based diet and that you eat anti-inflammatory foods while you are detoxing and cleansing. So while you're doing this, I don't expect a person to be eating animal and its byproducts because the process is going to be slower. Your detoxing and cleansing is going to take longer. So please ensure that you're also getting your minerals and your superfoods in as well. So let's talk a little bit about mineral formulas. Why is it important? Why do we want to take a mineral formula as well? It's very important to know when we're using minerals, the bioavailability of the minerals. For example, we have fulvic mineral, we have chelazite, as well as enzymes, hormones, and many others, right? And we have to know how to make these minerals bioavailable to the cells. They work together. So the synergistic actions of the minerals, example, for better use of calcium, the body would need some iodine and some vitamin D3 for the body to be able to absorb the iodine. If we're using something that's rich in iron, we may need to take some vitamin C and so on to make it more bioavailable to the body. So it is highly recommended to take green leafy vegetable juices. When we put them together, we add some lemon juice and plant-based iron, especially if we're doing things that are green, you know that we have some degree of iron, we're going to add some lemon juice, the vitamin C. And not only that, the lemon juice will help also to break down the fiber in these green leafy vegetables, right? So because iron is one of the most magnetic minerals in the body that transports oxygen at the level of the hemoglobin in the red blood cells, and especially herbs rich in minerals like white oak bark powder and comfrey and so on and so forth. When we use these things, we need to make sure that we're adding our lemon juice to make it bioavailable to our bodies. Minerals have different functions in the physiology of every organ and in the body, and they are needed. And of course, they should be studied by everyone. We don't just want to go taking minerals for taking minerals' sake, and then we are not studying the bioavailability to know what to put with what, how to make it bioavailable to the body, and to help the body to break down our green leafy vegetables when we put them in smoothies without first steaming them tender. So we have to make sure that we understand how to do this and help to eliminate, break down some of the cellulose fiber, how to get rid of some of the phytic acids and so on and so forth, because the body needs it, but not in large amounts. So let's talk about mineral formula, example 1 and 2. We can use something like 2 parts of sea moss or Irish moss powder, half part of bladderwrack powder, and half plant-based vitamin C, where we can use alma powder or camu camu powder.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why we combine them like this, we know that sea moss have a lot of the vitamins and minerals that our bodies need, and it supplies it to the body in the right amount that the body needs it. We're taking in things like bladderwrack powder, and because we're dealing with a high percentage of iron, we need some vitamin C to make it bioavailable to the body so that it can be absorbed. Now, my favorite vitamin C, I will tell you, it's the Kama Kama powder. I'm not big on amla, but if that's what persons can get, that's fine. But I really do love the Kama Kama powder. For me personally, I think that it works great. And I can tell you, if you drink sea moss powder, this mineral formula here, with the bladderwrack powder and the vitamin C, you will see a great difference in your skin as well. Here is also another one, 3 parts of sea moss powder, quarter bladderwrack powder. You can add quarter food grade diatomaceous earth because that food grade diatomaceous earth is a good source of silica. And it is so important that we are getting all of the necessary. And of course, we can add the quarter of our Kama Kama powder, plant-based vitamin C. So all the mineral formulas can be taken, 1 to 2 tablespoons. You will have to finish putting it together. You can put it on your fruit or mix it in your berry juice or into a healthy smoothie that's thick enough to be eaten with a spoon. And if possible, you could just cut up some chunks of red apple and put it in so that you have something to chew on. We do not recommend a liquid diet to healthy persons. If a person is sick and they're unable to eat solid foods, then that's a different thing. But we do not recommend a liquid diet for healthy individuals. So when I spoke about superfoods, we are talking about microgreens and or sprouting. And these are the superfoods. They are very rich in enzymes. They are dense in nutrients than regular greens. And they're very easy to digest and very bioavailable to our cells. For one, I like to do sprouting. I would sprout things like alfalfa or red clover and mung beans and so on and so forth. Microgreens, they are grown in soil, and these are young edible plants, the baby version of the mature vegetable. Sprouts, on the other hand, are seeds that are germinated in water. And if we go to www.urbancultivator.net, we will see how to do microgreens in our soil and how to do sprouting in germinated water. How to germinate the seeds in water. So again, that is one reason why I do not tell persons to go and buy enzymes, right? Because we can do sprouting. It's easier. It's not something very hard to do. You wash your seeds and then just overnight, I will cover them with water in a glass jar, a plastic cover, not a metal cover with holes in it. And I'll leave them there overnight. In the morning, I wash them again, wash them with water, pour off all that water, and then I leave them there to drip on my countertop where there is some sunlight coming in through my window. And I do that washing morning, evening for at least 3 days. By day 3, day 4, you have a lot of sprouts that you can use. I enjoy them in sandwiches. You know, nothing is better than when you make a nice hummus sandwich and you add some sprouts to it. You know, the body's able to break down the food. The enzymes help to make things bioavailable to the cells, helps with digestion and breaking down of our foods. You can put them in your smoothies as well, you know, Put a handful in your smoothies and they will help with breaking things down as well. So sea moss is a superfood. The reason why it is called a superfood, and here is just some of the minerals and so on that we can find in sea moss, the vitamins and minerals, why we call it a superfood. Because it has a high concentration of the major minerals that our body needs. Magnesium, 41%, phosphorus, 22%. And it has other essential minerals such as iron, zinc, and many more. Calcium, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, sodium, zinc. It's like really complete, so we call it a superfood. It has a very high nutritional value, right? And we can see that the amount of energy that we can get from using seaweed and the carbohydrates and the sugars and the dietary fiber, the fat, the protein, and the vitamins as well, our B vitamins, right? And our pantothenic acid as well. So we're getting our vitamins, we're getting our minerals, we're getting our antioxidants, everything. So when we look at sea moss in its raw state, look at all that the body is getting. And this is linked to the USDA database entry. And some of the things are in units, some are in micrograms, milligrams, some are in international units, some are in percentages. But these are the approximate recommendation for adults based on the USDA nutrient database. All the things that our body needs. And the sea moss would provide all of that. So, superfood formula 1, and here is just an example. 1 part sea moss powder, 1 part wild vegetable juice powder, 1 part spirulina powder, 1 part chlorella powder, half a part plant-based vitamin C, our camu camu or amla powder, half a part of bee pollen powder, 1/8 enzyme powder, sprouts can be used instead, and we have, a little bit of the fulvic mineral. When we say 1 of 32, that's to tell you how small of an amount that you're using of the fulvic mineral powder. So caution, the superfood formula can be taken by using, again, 1 to 2 tablespoons. You can add it to fruits. You can add it to a berry juice. And when I say berry juice, I'm not talking about anything bought in the supermarket. I'm talking about doing your own, getting your berries and extracting the juice and adding it to it, right? Or we can do a nice thick smoothie. And of course, we are going to eat it with a spoon because we're going to put in some chunks of red apple because we're not trying to use a liquid diet. So mineral formulas and superfood formulas can both be put together in the same smoothie. We can actually combine them over our fruits or with our apple and eat them. It is so important that when we're doing our cleanse and we're doing our detox, that we're making sure that we're getting proper nourishment as well. And we have a word of encouragement here in Psalms 51, verse 7. Even David, when he messed up, he begged God, purge me with hyssop and I shall be clean. Even David knew the value of a good detox, right? So whether we want to be purged from sin, where we will ask God to do that cleansing, we can also be cleansed physically by using our herbs to detox and to cleanse our bodies. So I encourage all of you to undergo detoxification, speak to a proper person where you can have an assessment done, because we have seen many serious diseases that have been reversed as individuals begin to cleanse their own bodies of toxins that are stored in their body. And some of it is trapped in extra fat. And we need to realize too that fat is actually a symptom telling us that our liver may be congested and we need to do a detox, right? So when we have on the extra weight, it's actually a symptom that's telling us Something is slowing down here. Something is not working the way God intended it to. Our liver may be congested. It may be filled with some toxin and needs to be cleansed. So if you will hearken unto the teachings of our Lord God, your health also can improve dramatically once those toxins are removed and not just recirculated to other parts of the body. Why am I saying this? This is a mistake that many of us make. We will take a laxative and figure, hey, we're good. We need to cleanse and detox. We need to make sure when we pull things, we get them eliminated. Because if we do not do that, then they will be reabsorbed in the bloodstream and they will be recirculated to other areas of the body. When we detox and cleanse, whole body detox, not only do we feel better and live longer, but we will look better too, because even our skin will be enhanced. So thank you all for listening, and we will now open up for questions. If you have questions, and before we go to the question and answer, if we're recording to YouTube Live, those of you on YouTube Live, if you want to come over to Zoom, because we will stop the recording at YouTube Live so that persons will feel comfortable asking their questions and to receive answers. So the YouTube Live will be stopped and then we will go into our questions and answers. So
Hello. Carry on.
If anyone has any questions, we're asking that you raise your virtual hand and you will be acknowledged. We will ask you to unmute